So
before delving
children,
into the topic,
today's topic is euthanasia, and it is an open floor now for you all. If you are not agreeing with anybody's point, you can immediately rebut. I'll not ask you who should do and who should not do. Okay, you take up this on your own. Yes, whoever
Okay.
wants to break the ice can break.
Okay, I'll start.
Yes,
So,
sure, Sanket.
Before delving into the debate, so let's understand the meaning of euthanasia. So, in simple words, euthanasia is the process of stopping one's life, letting the life of a person to end the suffering. So, there are two types of euthanasia. So, one is mainly active euthanasia, passive euthanasia, and another one is considered as voluntary euthanasia. So, active euthanasia is injecting a sedative or a drug to end the suffering of a person. So passive euthanasia is withholding
Reduce your speed.
Withholding a ventilator or life supporting equipments from his life. And voluntary euthanasia is a person sign the consent to end his own life. So these are the types. When it depends, though so in some countries euthanasia is legalized, for instance Netherlands, Spain, and in some part of USA also. In India currently only passive euthanasia is legalized. So from my perspective, what I would think is both active euthanasia and passive euthanasia is on the same. On the contrary, active euthanasia is regarded as killing and passive euthanasia is regarded as ending the life suffering. I'll give an instance and end this topic.
Okay. Someone else.
In continuation with
wait
Sanket,
for one example.
1 minute, Sanket.
Okay. Yeah, in continuation with Sanket, euthanasia is a Greek word. It comes from eu and thantos. Eu for good and thantos is death. So it's nothing but a good death. So when patient suffering from a disease and he or she is not getting cured, even if there are a lot of treatment, so that time it actually advisable in some medical medical science, and they're expecting that rather than suffering, bad suffering, they can actually live their.
Is there somebody who can tell me something about the plus and minuses?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes,
mercy killing should not be legalized because sometime relative may use euthanasia is get property quickly, and other thing is there no clear difference between suicide and euthanasia, and another thing maybe doctors do not give their best to save the life of patient, and another thing we are living in the world of technology, so we can invent medicine for this incurable disease.
Okay, is there anybody who can rebut her? Cut her point.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Funny.
So as Aparna told, like it can be legalized, maybe like the few hospitals within India, like AIMS and all. So their laws are very stringent over there. So any patient who want to a mercy killing, he can go there and get examined by a government doctor. And if he is okay, like if he approves himself, then I think we can go for euthanasia. It helps in some terminal illness or irreversible coma. Family relatives can approach, like it also, to be frank, like in terms of financial, like everyone cannot put lot of money just to maintain in the hospital. So in those cases, I think even the Supreme Court of India, like in particular case in 2011, I guess, so they have allowed a patient for a mercy killing.
Garima, what's your point on it?
Yeah, even I'm supporting this mercy killing because we have one case, Aruna Shanbag case.
Aruna Shanbag from Bombay Hospital.
Yes. So she moved to court and she wanted to end her prolonged suffering. She wanted to end her life willingly.
It was her friend who had filed a petition. She was in vegetative
state. She was actually sexually assaulted by
42 years.
Yeah.
Staff worker.
Yes.
And put into coma for 42 years, I think.
42 years. Correct.
And after that, our friend approached to court.
Okay.
Correct.
Somebody, yeah, Garima, tell me.
Yes, yes. So just this is the example of you can say wherein patient was there for prolonged illness and they wanted to end their life. So I think this is fine. I am in favor of this mercy killing, but it should be passive, not active. And yeah.
Okay, Swastika, 1 minute. Sanket. Okay, Swastika, no, Shivam.
Ma'am, India, passive mercy
Coming to you,
killing is
Rajat.
allowed in India.
Passive is allowed in India. Yeah, Rajat, tell me.
Ma'am, the court specifically stated that the dying dignity in the process of dying is as much part of right to life under Article 21.
Okay. Shivam.
So my opinion on euthanasia is twofold. One, I support passive euthanasia, where there is a legal proceeding involved, case to case basis, not a blank. I don't support a blanket rule that euthanasia is allowed and hence like people don't have to approach the judicial authority. I believe that every case should be assessed. The reason for that is if we don't do that, then there is a very high chance of a slippery slope. That is, the chances of misusing euthanasia becomes significantly higher, where it can lead to the rights violation of the patient. It can happen for multiple reasons. I think some of you spoke about that. The family members are
And they may not be willing to take up the responsibility or poverty or whatever it is.
Exactly. And another thing, it can also happen because of wrong medical diagnosis, that the medical fraternity is pushing the family to opt for this option. Imagine in the times of COVID when there was dearth of capacity in hospitals, right? It would have been an easy way out for the medical folks to say that opt for euthanasia because we can't do anything at this stage. Who knows what the reality is, right? So that opens up gate for a lot of negative treatment, which could lead to the rights violation of the patient.
Yeah, Swastika, what are you telling?
Ma'am, it should be totally voluntary because it should be totally the wish of the patient. Either it may be if the patient is not in such a condition where he would wish that he is choosing for the euthanasia. And previously, if he had told his family members, because there are many people that they I can accept the death, but I can't accept the tubes in my body. The various tubes in the body, those things. So many people are very, they are very afraid of those tubes and those medical treatment. And doctors, what nowadays, they misuse also. Like when you go to the hospital, they will first they will see that you have the insurance or you have what. They are more interested in money making. So in this case, if they are very to relieve the suffering of the patient, so people with a controlled way to it should be with a controlled way to end their life.
I want to rebut her point.
And I will just add
an unbearable suffering.
Garima. Yes, Garima.
So it is, you can say it is unnecessary medical resource wastage also. If somebody, if you are sure, doctors are sure that, okay, they are not going to be live and there is no treatment, just using the life support they are sustaining. So in that case, I think we are just wasting the medical resources. And instead of that, we should have given that medical equipments and resources, whatever has been wasting in the patient, wherein we don't have any hope, to other who are actually in need. So
And
that
Instead, voluntary euthanasia.
passive euthanasia.
So I am like to put some perspective on.
No, 1 minute, one by one. Yes, Sanket?
I would like to put my perspective on active and passive euthanasia. So there is a dispute whether active euthanasia is regarded as killing a patient, where passive euthanasia is regarded as letting patient die. So in both scenarios, the result will be same.
So 1 minute. Shivam. You
Yes.
wanted a rebuttal to somebody?
I want to rebut Swastika and Garima. So there are
Yeah.
3 pointers in total that they made, and all the pointers are pro euthanasia. One, I think Swastika made the point that the decision should be of the patient. I think that is not a very practical solution, in the sense that in most of the cases, patient is not the decision maker because they are on bed, and so I don't think that's
No,
practical.
I want to rebut Shivam that patients are not in the condition to take the decision. But if the patient has mentioned this earlier,
So
like so
how
many
can the
people say,
patient know
we are
if he is going to die or if
Just
he is
just
no,
just a moment, Sanket.
if
Let me
a
complete my.
patient, if a serious illness is there, like a cancer, a patient is suffering from the cancer. If I have come to know that I'm diagnosed with cancer, so I will what I will suggest, and if it is in the fourth condition, if it is in the fourth stage, then what it should be individual.
it's
And
not
before he
applicable
can
to
mention to
every
if
condition, I think.
go in the extreme condition, if I go in the extreme
I
condition, then
got your
please
point,
let
Swastika.
me let the
Swastika,
Okay,
I'm clear with
Shivam.
your point. I'll still put forth my view. So what you are saying is that is, you have already reduced the subset of the cases that you are talking about where patient has given consent way before they reached a problematic stage. So in my
Exactly.
opinion, that's a very small subset, and it's a very impractical thing to discuss this with one's family when you are in a healthy state, right? So that was my first point. Secondly, I think Garima mentioned, I forgot what point you mentioned.
Wasting medical
Yeah.
resources.
Wasting medical resources. Yeah, thank you for reminding that, right? Now, that is again a very a tricky thing to assess, right? You said that if the doctors are deciding and then the medical resources should be utilized for someone who needs it, right? This can be grossly misused, right? For example, doctors would say that why should we waste our resources on poor people? It creates that discrimination right away, because the that where the resources should be utilized will always have vested interest as well, and they will try to maximize their benefit. While again, on theory, what you are saying, I agree